Hey, everybody. Give me a minute. Real quick. Just a second. Hope everybody out there is well. How you doing? I'm getting on Facebook real quick. Because sometimes I don't. But today I figure I will. And right here. Okay. Where is the... Okay. All right, y'all. I started not to do this because, look, Tom, our clocks went back and everything. And so people, they feeling the effects of regular time right now. And so our internal clock is still an hour later. And so I am aware of that. It's a bit of a transition, even though it's an hour, it's a transition for some to get used to that hour change. And so, yeah, that's how it can be. And so, all right, I got Facebook. All right, y'all. So, hey, everybody. Today, listen, this is what I've been talking about. This is probably what I'm going to talk about for the next couple of weeks when y'all do see me. And so it is NoFap November. I'll talk about celibacy and NoFap. And so I whop all of that together and I talk about that. And that's what I'm talking about today. Again, look, unlike last time, I think it was last week, whatever. The benefits, I'll continue to talk about that. But today I want to talk about why people wait, like not only the benefits, like why people wait to before having sex to get married and all of that stuff. So not the benefits though. Like that's going to continue to come. But all right, so before we get started, and look, I look like I'm I gotta. All right, let's think about good things. Let's think about pleasant things. Let's think about things that make us laugh, things that make us smile, things that make us feel good. Whatever that is, it could be something just happened today for you. Anything that makes your cheeks hurt, smile so much. Anything that makes you laugh so hard that you boil over. Anything that makes you feel so good is so memorable to you. You felt so beautiful, like you were floating. All right, think about that. Think about that. Think about that. All right. All right, so so the talk continues because I've been talking about it, and when I do the shorter videos, I feel like I need to elaborate sometimes. So this is the opportunity for me to do that. And so, I want to take the time and do that. So we know this topic is a regular topic that comes up when we're talking about marriage, because that's often when you hear about people waiting to have sex. Hold on a second before I mess around and okay, marriage. And so that's all, like I said, where we hear about it. And so I've been talking about that, and I kind of wanted to go into that a little deeper because it is something that, like I said, that's the most, that's the biggest topic, especially for us women, concerning waiting to have sex. And so marriage, it is definitely the reason for a lot of people. And so, yeah. And so why are you waiting? If you want to share, go ahead, And besides the benefits, I was talking about how people decide to wait for marriage. And so now, that's a lot to do with how we are, we're taught and everything, and it goes into religious um, ideals a lot, and so you'll see it across most religions. I think pretty much. I don't know about all religions, so I'm not going to claim. But the top five, I believe they all share that ideal that you should wait for marriage before you have sex. And and so that's somewhere where we see it all the time. Um, yeah. And people have their different thoughts and ideas, but things, I think as things are going along and people waking up and stuff like that, people moving away. Well, some people are moving away from religion, but there's still that core group as well. But it's still a thing, because even if you're not into a religion, you are on the spiritual journey. If you're on a spiritual journey, it's still kind of a thing, like, right? Because you know that that is like a sacred energy, right? I want to talk about that for long. So, how many people do you know and who waited to have sex before? Um, waited until they were married to have sex. Now, and I don't have statistics. I want to see. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up now. Before I go there, because I did jump on Facebook. I haven't been on for a minute, and so y'all bear with me still, because this is like the second time. Wow. So, um, yeah. So I don't know how to. Okay. So it's just real different from what I remember it being. So just try to see what's going on. Anyway, so look, all right, so this is it, right? That's what we are taught to do, right? That's what we told to do. That's what we know to do. And it's something that I think, like I said, it's a religious thing. It's I think it's a spiritual thing as well. And this is not about trying to like convince anybody to get on this path. It's like you really kind of already know whether or not you want to be on this path or not. You already know if this is something that you're doing, it's something that you want to do, this is something that is one of your goals to do, something of that nature. So this is not about um, changing of minds, because you know what you want to do. And so I'm not here to change anybody's mind. So, but if you're on this path, you're interested in this path, that's what I'm talking to. And so I want to know how many people waited until marriage. Um, I think that number is not as great as it used to be. And like I said, I don't have the statistics, right? Um, I'm gonna see what comes up if I look. Let me see. It's really hard to kind of pull up something online, like, and know that you're getting some good information and stuff. Let me see. My guess is that um, not as many people are entering the union like they used to, just because of how the world is changing, how society is changing. Okay, so I pulled up something from the census, and they say that in 2019, How do you read this here? Let me see. See, they gotta talk about the negative. I want to know about the marriage. They talking about the other thing here. Look, I'm not getting into that. No, they talking about divorce. Nah, I'm trying to talk about marriage. Okay. So it says that marriage and divorce rates for number of women who are married or divorced within a year. 1,000 women aged 15 years old. I didn't know you can get married that young. Anyway, so in 2019, there were 17.6 marriages for every 1,000 women in the United States. Okay. And then I want to see another year from previous years. Okay, so in 2019, there was 16.3, and then 2009, there was 17.6. And so it dropped somewhat, and not much. But I think that's like I said, things are changing as far as that. But that I think is a skewed number because committed relationships, they have to put that in there. They have to, I think that's what's missing. And so some people do get into relationships that are very committed, such as marriage. However, they don't go ahead and do the ceremony and stuff. And so I think it's a skewed number. I think it's higher than that, actually, if you put that number in there. However, we can have a talk about, one over the other, because that's a big topic of discussion. Um, Committed relationship versus marriage. Yeah. But I want to keep it on topic because that can go into a whole different thing. Now, and I would like to know your take on that too, because yeah, it's different. I know people, like in my own life and growing up and seeing couples who were both like I know some married couples and I know some committed relationship couples. And so yeah, I know both. In any case, let's get back to the sex topic, right? Sex, waiting for marriage. Now, what I was saying in the video that I posted earlier this week is that, it doesn't guarantee things. And so that was the point I was making. So, because we grow up with fairy tales and different stories, and we have this programming, we get this program. I would say little girls, especially, it's changing somewhat, but still, we still got a lot of our stories that we raise the kids on about the happily ever after and all of that. So people have this idea that marriage equals happiness. But see, this is the thing about this journey that we're on, because we know that one of the things that you get when you're on this journey is finding your own happiness before you get into a relationship. And so that happily ever after, although that's, anything is possible in this world. Not going to say it's not possible in this world. However, we don't have to equate it with the act of marriage, because then you exclude every other thing that's going on. And so if you decide not to get married, I mean, the mind frame might be, well, I'm not going to have a happy ever after if I don't get married, and if the person decides to, it goes into the children debate as well, as far as having children. So, but it excludes a whole bunch of other people who, if they decide to do something else, that would have a mind frame that's different. So, anyway, so when we get on this journey, we get on this path, we learn about ourselves, and it's not an issue because we are happy with or without. So we happy, you know, as a single person if we decide not to join someone else, but and that other person that we get involved with, the person that we commit to, the person that we marry, enhances that happiness. And so sex in itself doesn't guarantee anything. And so I think we need to kind of have that discussion with our older children, the ones that are past the stage where you can't talk about it around them. You have to move them out the room and they can hear this conversation type of age. And that's usually around I'm gonna say 13 and up because that is where I think most of us start talking or introducing this talk to our children. To each its own. People do different things. However, we know that um, that's something that's in the mind frames of kids as far as how they raise, and it depends on if they have that fairy tale thought about marriage. So sex comes involved because as soon as those hormones kick in and everything, then we having to talk to them about like what you're going to wait for and marriage and the whole nine. So anyway, so I think it's important to kind of relay this information in some kind of way. All right. So it's a sacred act though. And so although you can I can share with like my girls, my ladies, that will not equate to happiness, I would still encourage them to wait now. And that is because the process of waiting, the lifestyle of waiting, the decision to wait involves, in this sense, in the sense of um, what I've been talking about, is getting to know oneself. And so that is what it comes down to. You getting to know yourself. And in that is a lot of relationship things that go into some of the things that we get to know about ourselves before we enter, not only a relationship, because this is even platonic relationships that I'm talking about. When we're talking about a sexual relationship, you definitely want to know yourself. It's not, it's hard to kind of even have this conversation with the world we live in sometimes because what is seen is something totally different from what I would say as far as what I would recommend because it's everywhere. Everything is sexualized. And so, our kids are sexualized very early. TV and movies and everything else. And there is nothing that kids can't touch now. Like back in the day, when we were growing up, it wasn't a thing because the internet wasn't as popular. But now, you have to really be on top of what the kids are doing in order to kind of navigate them around all of the things that they can access. You know what I mean? And so I think it's tougher. But as we come into adulthood, as we are adults, and it's not even only about the kids who have to decide these things and how they're going to be and what they're going to be and who they're going to be, because it's really about who you want to decide to be, who you want to be. Like, it's all a part of that. As adults, we know, and from experience, because we had these relationships, and sometimes it's a matter of relationships not working out and trying to figure out like why it's not working out. And so it comes back down to, sometimes for some of us, is that we stop, just jumping and create bonds, because that's what sex does, create these bonds with people. And we kind of, take a moment and figure out ourselves. And it's a circle. So we get back to square one, where we're taking time for ourselves to get to know ourselves. And so, but waiting. That is one of the biggest reasons that this topic surrounds marriage. So I would love to know your thoughts about it. What was your mind frame as a young adult? As you came into adulthood, what was your mind frame about sex and marriage? Did you feel that that was something that you should do? Is that something that you were taught to do? What was it for you, right? And so, and then the other thing, it was something else out of what I said on this video. Okay, I'm trying to remember now but all right. And so I was talking about not rushing, right? All right. And so you ready when you're ready, right? And so I saw something today, and I should have looked at it. This video about your body and knowing or something like that. I didn't listen to it, so, but it did, catch my eye. Being ready. Okay. And so we know, like women especially women that live in cities, because like I've shared with y'all in previous times, that me growing up in New York, I started having to block it dances at early ages, like, all kind of people in my face, like at young ages. And this is commonplace with women. Like, you don't have to look like a model, and you don't even have to um, all. Okay, let me backtrack. Look, it's something that is a woman's condition. Okay, especially a young lady who is not like confined to the home. Like, if you have parents who didn't let you go anywhere, it's a whole different story. But then we know a lot of times with those kind of situations, when people actually got outside, when people actually got to do something, they went buck wild. So some of the wildest people are those folks who weren't able to do anything. But we know, growing up in cities and urban areas, that, as women, that, it's just a part of how we have to navigate as women. We have to decide, like, who we going to be, as what kind of woman we're going to be, and you get to face that early. So I know people don't want the kids to hear this topic when talking about sex and stuff, and that's to each his own. However, you have to realize that, and if you remember your own story, if you are a woman, that, young ladies, they have to kind of know certain things, just because, for their own safety, even because if you don't know how to navigate yourself as a young lady, you can be like, it's not a safe place. Like, you have to know, or you can become like a target if you are walking around naivety. Like you cannot walk around without knowing certain things. It's just that's how it is, especially in cities. So, um, like I said, to each his own. But having the experience and knowing how it is, it's something that young ladies really have to kind of deal with. Young men, not so much. Maybe it's changed, but I can't imagine how it would change because, historically, and it's still the same as usual, men are usually the pursuers. So it's usually women, young ladies who are usually approached for dates, approached in different ways, and you really get to see like you really get like I don't know tested as far as your womanhood earlier than you become a woman even. And so this is not a conversation that um, I think young ladies need to have with the parents, have with other women in their families, and their friends. Because I think the worst kind of situation, and we all know this situation too, is to get information. Well, it's different because of the internet, though. But getting information from your friend group instead of people who have experience, people who want to have your best interest in mind, people who love you and care about you, rather than trying to fit in, trying to do things because of whatever, um, and just figuring out who you are and making decisions that are way, um, years ahead of time. And so, yeah, this is a topic I think, you know, young ladies very much need to have with the women in their families. And I would love to, like I said, hear from, women who have these experiences, who know what I'm talking about, and have an opinion about it. Yeah. And so it makes me think back to, you know, me and my girlfriends, and we were good girls, or whatever you call good girls, right? But we did some hanging out. And in that, we got faced with, like I was saying, like in the city, we got faced with trying, like I said, face very at an early age with who or what kind of women we wanted to be. And so this conversation is, like I said, very necessary. Anyway, readiness. All right, so when I saw the video earlier that I didn't click on, but I did see it, it kind of made me think of something that I wanted to add, because I know it's going to come on later. Having your body make a decision for you is, to me, like, oh my goodness, don't do that. Having your body make a decision for you when it comes to sex. Like, any of us who have been through the teenage years, been through the puberty age, been through the times where our hormones start talking to us, and it was a time in life, like really, it was a very memorable time in life for some of us. Do you think it is wise to allow our bodies to have the decision making process when it comes to sex? Now, and I'm talking about period, because when we're younger, when them hormones start kicking in, our body does things. And I talked about this before. Our bodies are made to procreate. So, everything, God made us so great that everything is already inside of us. So we have things in us already that is going to force us to want to, or urge us, I should say, to want to procreate. That's how God made us. And so your spirit is body, and this body, like I said, it's about knowing ourselves. If we allow our bodies to be in charge, I'm gonna tell you, we would all, we would all be having sex at very young ages because that's when the puberty hits. That's when the hormones kick in. And so, do we really want our bodies to control what it is that we do? And even as adults, when we are past puberty, our bodies still go through things. And especially, this video came from a man, I do know that. Men are different than women, we know, but women, for men who, y'all know enough to know, but we go through our cycles every month. Y'all know that that's what we do. And that in itself, you all know that when a woman, young girls get their cycle starts, that is the key. That's the signal that her body is preparing to procreate. And so, not that we don't know this in general, but this is part of how this body functions as a woman. And there are certain things that happen before and after that cycle that sometimes make us want to procreate. It heightens the desire to procreate. It makes us more fertile. Like, it's just a whole lot of things that's already within us as women. And so if we don't have control over these bodies, many women would have like 20 children at least, like, because if we just went off of what our bodies did, we would want to procreate all the time. Right? And so, do we want to allow our bodies to be in control of what we do sexually? I don't think that's a good idea. I kind of liken it to, and this is just something I've talked about before. Like, there are things around us that do allow their vessels to take charge when it comes to procreation and having sex. We see it in animals all the time. And so, that's not us though, as far as, we are a type of animal, but we beyond that. And we have to, not only, face that, we don't want to equate ourselves to the same behavior as an animal. And so we don't have control over our bodies. We're basically doing the same as animal life. Let's be real about it. Wouldn't that seem so? All right, because animals don't have control. That's when you see the horses just going at it when they want to, and whatever, because the creation has their vessels, their bodies wanting to procreate at a certain time, and animals just go ahead with what the body wants because they don't have the same capacity that we do to have control over that. And so, no, such a bad idea, I think. No, like, if we allowed our bodies to take control, oh my goodness, Oh my goodness. And so, but it is a challenge for us still, even though, you know, we're sometimes highly intellectual and we use our, intellectual capacities and all of that. And we do things the way we raise and we have morals, standards, and values. And it still becomes a challenge for some. And so, you know, and that's just, something I kind of that made me think about because if we let our bodies take control, oh, yeah. I mean, waiting is something that we decide to do because I think what our spirit does, we in these bodies and we have these, we are the spirits in these bodies. What our spirit does is let us know through our intuition, through, how God made us again. Let us know what is good and what is not so good for us. Like it may, it's not a right or wrong thing. It's about how you feel about it. So I can tell you anything, but it's about how you feel about it. If you're okay with whatever you do, whatever, what I'm talking about sounds like, you know, mess to you, then that's fine because that's the path that you're on. If you resonate with what I'm saying, we might be on a similar, frequency, whatever. And then there's somebody else that I might hear talk about something, and it's like I would think that was, something I couldn't feel either. So it is everybody's on a different path, on a different journey, and everything. But what I think our spirits do on whatever journey that we're on is our spirit lets us know what it is that is good for us, because that's where shame comes from. If something's not right for you, if you are in a sexual connection and you feel shame connected to having sex, that's something's wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with sex. You should not feel shame when it comes to sex. And if you do, you have to figure that out. That's an indication that you don't feel right about what you're doing, or you have some kind of programming that says what you're doing is wrong, or there's some issues that you have surrounding it. But there's nothing wrong with the act of sex. It is a God-given, beautiful gift that allows us to bond with each other, continue this creation that's been made, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. And so, everybody has their own thing going on. And so, waiting is something that you decide. You decide through, I think, even if you're not in a religion, if you don't follow a specific philosophy of some kind, that internally your spirit will tell you what it is that you want to do or don't want to do. Your spirit will stop you in your tracks if you're doing something that is not um, like something that you agree with. It's not about other people. See, this is the thing. We all on our own path. And so what's good for one person is maybe different for another. And so that's how it works and that's how it is. And so waiting is a personal and it's a personal decision. And what you decide to do is up to you. All right. So marriage, what else was it? Commitment. Now, commitment, there are just some people who just decide that instead of marriage, they prefer a committed relationship. Um, I think there's much to be said about that because you really have to know that, and trust that kind of situation. Um, yeah, because it's just, well, the commitment, it can be a word that's thrown around, or it can be something that somebody really means, like, they mean in a marriage, because I'm talking about a commitment when they talk about somebody or two people who decide to commit to each other in similar ways like marriage, however, without the marriage certificate. And I know a few people who have been in committed relationships for long periods of time. And so there's another personal choice. But to me, it's very similar to marriage because you are, a lot of times, is a commitment to be with that other person and only that other person. And so it's just like marriage, it's just without the paperwork. And so some people wait to have sex until they're in a commitment, which again is debatable. Is the person just throwing around the word, or is the person, how is that person using the word commitment? Now, I'm not talking about a relationship because a relationship, um, hmm, I think it all leads to um, partnership. That's what the whole umbrella is about, is partnership. And it just depends on you and what you believe. But I'm talking about beyond relationship even. And so that's one of the reasons that some people wait. And I do have to kind of throw relationships in there, but I think relationships are a step toward commitment. And so that's my own take on relationships. Yeah, and there's so many different types of relationships. And so some people wait for the relationship to be established, and then what else was it? Getting your life together. Now that's all what Celibate 69 is about. Getting your life together. And it's not particularly your life, because I think sometimes um, we put ourselves in like a cage, as far as it's not like a cage. It's like the carrot in front of the horse. Like you put a carrot, like imagine, I don't know, I've seen this in a movie or something where somebody dangled like a carrot like 2 feet in front of the horse in order for the horse to go forward. The thing about dating a horse and a carrot is the horse will never reach the carrot. I think sometimes we work our lives in that way, as far as putting definite things that have to happen before this and before that. Sometimes I think that's the carrot that we dangle in front of ourselves, because we are people, and people, we never satisfied. And so if you put a carrot in front of yourself that is always going to be another carrot, then that's something, that's a whole other thing. But um, I think it's a tricky place, though, as far as when we say we want to get our life together first. I think the better thing is to know yourself, because once you know yourself, all those things come together anyway. You know, when we say, "Well, I must do this and I must do that," then that becomes the carrot dangling in front of yourself. Because not that it's not attainable, but we always want more. And so we're going to always replace the carrot instead of figuring out how we're going to have this full life full of all the things that make a complete life, or make a whole life, make the life that we want, because we're dangling that carrot that we always going to keep changing out instead of living life. We focusing on that carrot instead of living our lives sometimes. And so I think it's tricky when people say, well, I got to get my life together, and they have definite that must happen. Because remember the saying that when you make plans, God laughs. And I think God has a great sense of humor, like seriously. So putting definite things out there, like I said, I just think it's the carrot dangling. Get to know yourself. Once we get to know ourselves, like I said, it all comes together. And so I think it's more about that and becoming content within yourself. And then kind of everything else will come together. That's just how it seems to naturally go. Now, yeah, and so that's the other thing that people wait for before having sex. And I think it is, like I said, if it's getting to know yourself, I think that's great. I think that's beautiful. I think that is something we all should do. I think if, I don't know, I hate to say it because, when we get a little older, we start saying things that said, well, I don't think I'm going to say that, right? But had somebody sat me down in this way back in the day, maybe I would have made different choices, better choices. I think I would have made better choices. And so, yeah, getting to know yourself. So important. So important. And so let me see what's going on. I've been talking a lot. Let me see if I'm missing anything. I'm kind of still thrown about the differences with this and everything. Hey, Ernie. All right. So let's see. If I don't see, you got to comment for me to see you, apparently. It used to be different. And I don't know enough about the changes yet. So I'm just going to roll with it. And so, yeah. And so that's what I want to kind of talk about. But I think I don't know if I wrapped up the ready part. And so the ready part, because I had said that. All right, you're ready, right? Yeah. Don't rush your ready. That's what I was talking about in one of the videos that I did earlier this week too. And I wanted to touch on that some more too, because sometimes we get convinced that we're ready. Somebody else convinces us. Something outside of us tells us that we're ready, and not something that's coming from us. And so that's really the key as far as being ready. Because when it comes to the sacred energy that we share, that we're going to bond with somebody else with, that is, I don't know, some people think differently about it. I just think it's such a special place to as far as sharing. And some people don't believe, the same thing or whatever, but it's such I don't know, it's different for everybody. But for me, it is really um, is a special place, not only because of the intimacy involved, because your heart is involved too. Like it's well, for some. See, that's what I'm saying. Everybody is different. And so being ready is really something that you know. And just know that you are the person that needs to make that decision, and not allow external people, events, things, and whatever to tell you that. you decide, just like you're deciding whether or not to do this month or not. You're making a decision. This is not about me convincing anybody. Again, to each his own. I'm not here to try to change anybody's mind or anything like that. But the people who are on this, the people who want to do this, the people who are interested in this, that's who I'm talking to. Right? Um, so just know that it's up to you, and it always is up to you. And so don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Don't allow, to be pressured and all of that. You know, I'm, I say, it's not, sometimes things sound whatnot. I want to stay away from just sounding cliche because I don't sound cliche. But definitely, if you are, and this is for adults too. Like people think I'm just talking about younger people. I'm not. It's about adults too. We have these issues from anytime we're not in a committed relationship or marriage. We go through these things as people who go in and out of relationships. Oh, and we trying to figure out who we going to spend life with, who we going to spend these, you know, this time with, this lifetime. We go through many lifetimes. However, this lifetime that we have, we're making decisions, and who we share that with is one of the most important decisions we'll make. And so, if we haven't already that person, then this is always a part of what we're doing, what we're talking about. And so being ready is something that just make sure that is about you. That's really what it comes down to. I thought about playing that song, but then I would get a India RV song. I am ready for love. I love that song. It's such a beautiful song. I think that would fit perfect within what I'm talking about. In that song, it's kind of like beat and it's kind of sad at the same time, though. But she talks about being ready for love, um, and not having it come her way. Um, I do believe that's what the song is about. Now, and the way I think about love is different because sex and love, they go together in a way that if you are in the same mind frame as me, you know, it doesn't happen without that. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody's different. I grew up around a lot of guy friends, so I know everybody is different. Men can do something totally different and not think twice about it. I think, that to me is the biggest anomaly that women have with men. If you know men, if you have brothers, if you have male friends or cousins, and you get to see how they operate with women, if they're not trying to, do things in a way that we would do things as women, you know, y'all know what I'm talking about. And I've seen it all, and I've heard so many different. This is what blows women's minds. This is why women seek out the advice of men when it comes to relationships, because we always want to know about men and what they really, who they would really honor as far as women are concerned. We know that it's possible that we may run across the kind of man who can do this unemotional type of interaction, if that makes sense, right? And so, yeah. And so it really has to come down to what, you want. And knowing yourself, like I said, is A1, but then, not being naive either and not having enough information so that you can navigate people and not, you know, work off of how we are made, because we are made to procreate. And if we just do what our body wants, then we wind up making bad decisions, because what our body wants doesn't need the love. What our body wants sometimes doesn't need the connection, because it's a body desire. And so if we allow that, then we're going toward, having, it's just, it's foundation is not there for something that'll last. Foundation is not there for something that can be commitment. The foundation is not there for something that can be marriage, if we're working simply off of what our body wants. All right. Yeah, so being ready is totally something that is up to you, you, and you alone. And God, of course, who is, I think, has a sense of humor. All right, y'all. So I've been rambling on, and I'm trying to touch everything. I'm surprised. I did only post a couple things, but I wanted to kind of go over that stuff because, yeah, we in November. Y'all know it's November, and this is the challenge month that people abstain, people who desire to do this for all the benefits that come with it. Some people for a lifestyle, some people who want to get back to knowing who they are, some people who does they figure out that that's what it is, that is what they need to do. They discover that what they need, or what they think they need, is to know themselves so that they can have, better outcomes with all areas of their life. So getting to know yourself is, I think, the most significant thing about, what this can do for you. Not the challenge itself, because the challenge is very short. The challenge is a month. For a lifestyle, that's a whole different story. If you're going to it with, getting to know yourself, that's beautiful. And I encourage it. All right. And so meditate about it, pray about it, speak to, your higher powers about it, and you decide what it is that you want to do in every situation, including this one. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling because I'm starting to just talk, right? I've talked about waiting today. All right. Why wait to have sex? This decision to wait has to do with marriage, commitment, or something to do with how we get to know ourselves. Or some people frame it as getting their life together. Those are usually the main reasons why people want to wait. So I would love for you to share what the reason is for you. All right. And so I hope everybody out there is, y'all see me some more this month as I continue to talk about, being celibate, NoFap, and this journey. All right. I hope if you're on this journey, if you're on this challenge, I hope things are going well. I hope you are hanging in there. Don't forget that if you need any pointers and tips on how to get through this month, you can pick up a sex diet, and that may help you out getting through this month. If you're on this lifestyle, go ahead and pick up Celibate 69 and start to figure out some of those benefits that you get by being on this journey. In any case, again, I hope everybody out there is well. Go ahead and share your experiences And I'll see y'all soon. All right, y'all. Once again, as always, love and gratitude.